Hey there, everybody. Eric Chessen, founder of Autism Fitness, leading the movement for movement. And if you, yes, you, are ready to become an Autism Fitness certified pro wherever you are in the world and deliver the best possible fitness and adapted PE programs to the autism and neurodiverse individuals that you serve, head on over to autismfitness.com where you can learn more about the Autism Fitness Level 1 certification, what it entails, how to do it, and the fact that it enables you, empowers you, and empowers your athletes to bring the most relevant, efficient, and effective exercise programs into their lives that will generalize to activities of daily living. So today, speaking of activities of daily living, we are going to be looking at one of the exercises that I think is the most closely related or the most reliable with respect to demonstrating how exercise corresponds with activities of daily living. Yes, I'm talking about the heavy carry. And we have two basic carrying movements that we utilize in our autism fitness programming. Those are the farmer's walk, which is where you have an object in each hand, subject to a different video. And we have the heavy carry. Now, the heavy carry is just that. It is where we have an athlete pick up an object with a sufficient and significant amount of weight and carry it from point A to point B. Usually we want it to be more than 10 or 12 feet. This is an exercise that's going to promote full body strength, stability, and strength endurance as well. Strength endurance is the ability to perform a resistance-based task for a given period of time, usually more than that than we would have with a standard push, pull, squat, hinge movement as well. So the goals of this exercise are to maintain healthy postural alignment and a good pace while carrying with the object. A couple of things to consider. Number one, we always want to be using a heavy is going to be relative, but a heavy object for the athlete, because if we're using too light an object, it's not going to create a training stimulus. If it's not creating a training stimulus, the athlete is not getting stronger, so the exercise is not going to produce a benefit. So we want to aim, generally speaking, now this is going to vary between athletes because our athletes range anywhere from 6 years old to 80 years old. So heavy is going to be in the context of who is that athlete? What is their age? What is their current physical ability level? What is their history of training? Are there any compensatory movements that we have to look at? All of these really, really critical questions that we have to ask when we're implementing any exercise, but this exercise in particular, we want to look at how much can this athlete safely hold in their hands right now, and we'll get to appropriate objects in just a couple seconds. So the idea is that the athlete has the full hold of the object and is carrying it from one point to another without any type of compensation. The compensations that we usually see are the athlete starting to lose their grip, both the arms and hands, on the object, or the athlete starting to fold forward. So their spine starting to go into that C curve as they are holding the object. And there are two ways, and we go through this extensively in the Autism Fitness Level 1 certification. There are two ways that we can modify or coach that as well, so that the athlete maintains safe and appropriate posture throughout the entire movement. Now, this athlete in particular, who you're going to see, really strong guy. So he is 13 years old right now. He is able to, the problem for him is finding objects that are heavy enough. So we have a 20-pound Dynamax medicine ball here that gets us into the object. So we went over the compensatory movement patterns a little bit. With respect to appropriate objects, there are really two or three. Sandbags that are filled with sand are great because they are heavy, but at the same time, they are safe because the sand is not extremely dense. So if it falls on the floor, it's not going to break anything. It's not like having an iron or steel weight. We are good. Object number two is a densely packed or heavier medicine ball, like the one here. There's a 20-pound Dynamax ball. Again, it is soft. It has a manageable diameter so the athlete can get their arms around it. And the third object that I really like, and there are others out there, but I'm just from our repertoire and the stuff we use on a regular basis. Dynamax has a new product called the Slog, which I love. It's basically just like it sounds. It's a giant rubberized log with very minimal bounce if it falls on the floor. It's really cool. And those range anywhere from 50 pounds up to, I think the heaviest one is 150 pounds. So as the athlete gets stronger, is able to carry the object longer, we do want to make it progressive so that they are carrying a heavier object further each time. So here you can see the hallmarks of a good carry. The athlete is staying upright. And in this particular situation, I did 2 upright boxes. So he carries it to one box, puts it down, regrips. He's asking me how many sets he has left, and carrying it back. Now, I want to pause it right here because he's exemplifying really good form. So we want the elbows up. We call this elbow shelf. So the elbows are up. The ball is held at chest level. Right? So you can see that his posture or his postural integrity is really stable right now. That is important. He's not folding forward. He's not leaning too far back. A little backwards lean is understandable when you're carrying a large, cumbersome object, but we want to look for extremes here, especially if the athlete starts to fold forward. But he's got this thing intact, puts it down. And so the ways that we would modify this exercise, we could close the distance. We don't want to go too light because, again, going too light is not going to solve the conundrum of how do we get this athlete stronger, but we may want to decrease the amount of space between one box and another box there. Another key point here is if the athlete cannot safely and effectively pick up that weighted object off the floor yet, then we're going to raise it up so that they can pick it up safely without going into that forward flexion there. So these are some key points of the heavy carry. And of course, it translates to any activity of daily living where I don't know, the individual has to carry a weighted object. So think about groceries, think about garbage, think about laundry, think about gardening debris, all of these things, and many, many more where someone has to carry a heavy object from point A to point B. And that is exactly why we do the heavy carry. So to encompass everything that we spoke about, heavy carry is picking up a weighted, sufficiently weighted object, carrying it from point A to point B, and then back to point A, and making sure that the athlete is controlling their posture. We may need to provide a mirror prompt for this, and that they are upright when they are carrying that object. And the 3 objects, my go-tos are sandbags, weighted or a heavy Dynamax ball, probably something 12 pounds and up, and the Dynamax Slog, which you can find on Dynamax's website. That's all I got. Eric Chessen, founder of Autism Fitness, leading the movement for movement. If this has been helpful for you and it might be helpful for someone else, please like, share, and subscribe. And I think that's it. See you next time for another Tuesday training.